Now, I'm not married, but I have come up with a master plan to hide big, expensive bike purchases from my wife in the unfortunate event that I do accidentally get married. And through my easy 7-step program, you too can buy as many bikes as your heart desires, free from the scorn of your beloved. Shout out to Wabi Cycles for sponsoring this video to learn how you can get the most fun out of your bikes, or many bikes. Check out me and Wabi's video series 3 Minute Thursday by clicking the card above or by sticking around to the end of the video. And to learn more about the bike that I personally ride on a daily basis and just how sick it is and how you should buy one, check out Wabi Cycles linked in the description. Step 1. The foundation of a robust relationship. Take it from me, a single guy that's never been married that buys as much bike stuff as his heart desires, that the key component, the foundation of a healthy relationship is communication. I have a fancy pants degree in communication. I know how important it is, which is exactly why you need to know about the different types of lies. The two categories of lies are lies by commission and lies by omission. Lies of commission are your standard lies. It's, "No, honey, I didn't buy a new bike," when in fact you did buy a new bike. Versus lies of omission are, "Honey, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you that I bought a new fancy, expensive bike." But hopefully through this video, you'll be able to hide your big, expensive bike purchases from your spouse so well that you won't even need to utter those words from your mouth. Lies of omission are mentally less bad, morally just as bad, but mentally they're less bad and they're easier to get over because it's much easier to justify not doing the right thing as opposed to doing something that is wrong. So for this program, we're mostly going to focus on committing lies of omission so that you can hide big expensive bike purchases from your spouse while still feeling good about yourself. Step 2. Bike color. Hiding in plain sight. Choose a bike that's the same color as your current bike. Assuming that your spouse isn't into bikes, because if they were, you probably wouldn't even need this video and they'd probably encourage you to make these irresponsible bike purchases. Remember that the #1 way for non-bike people to identify bikes is by color. It could be a fixed gear versus a mountain bike versus a road bike versus a BMX bike. As long as they're all the same color, in a non-bike person's head, they could all be the same bike. And it makes it exponentially easier for you to hide your multiple bikes in plain sight. To non-bike people, a purple bike is a purple bike, because who in the right mind needs multiple purple bikes? And that's where we'll catch them, because bike people are not in the right mind. This is why it's crucial to only ride bikes that are your favorite color, because for the duration of your relationship, you're only going to be able to ride bikes that are the same color. Step 3. Financing your bike. This step is crucial and can be a make or break moment for you and your bikes. Because the reason you're watching this video in the first place is that your spouse thinks that 1, you don't need a new bike, you already have a lot of bikes, 2, you can't afford another bike, or 3, a combination of both. The best situation is when your financial accounts from your spouse are completely separate. That way, your spouse won't know how much money is in your account, and more importantly, how much money should be in your account. If that's the case, consider yourself lucky. You can skip this step and move on to the next steps in the program. But many married couples depend on each other emotionally, relationally, sexually, and most importantly, financially. If you and your spouse have joint bank and credit card accounts, you're going to have to pay for your new bike in cash. Remember that in marriage, slow and steady wins the race. You can't just withdraw $4,000 all in one go, buy your new bike, and call it a day. You're going to have to withdraw your money slowly and steadily over a long period of time as to not awake the guards. $100 here, $200 the next week, another $100 the following week. Go steadily to slowly withdraw that money so that you can eventually buy that bike. Because, although it may be tempting to withdraw all that money all in one go, it doesn't matter if you get the bike sooner if your spouse makes you sell the bike. Step 4. Buying your bike. It may be tempting to order your bike stuff online, but that just creates a whole lot of mess and opportunity for your spouse to figure out that you're spending money that you shouldn't be spending. From them answering the door when your bike stuff is delivered, which becomes exponentially more risky if you're building up your own bike and ordering parts, to them seeing the large boxes, the conspicuous invoices, and credit card statements that come with buying bike stuff. Buying your new bike from a bike shop or the used marketplace completely sidesteps these issues and makes it way easier to hide your big expensive bike purchases from your spouse. They deal with the boxes for you, if any, and you can easily throw away a receipt or not even have a receipt if it's a sketchy back alley Craigslist deal. And most importantly, you can pay cash. Or you could even pay in favors if you, catch my drift. That's a win-win-win right there, assuming you leave your spouse out of the picture. Step 5. Storing your bikes. To make sure that your spouse doesn't get suspicious about your additional bikes, you need to make sure that they don't see your previous bike that they do recognize and your new bike together. That would raise the alarm that something expensive is afoot. It's best to store your bikes that you're not riding in parts of the house that your spouse rarely goes to and rarely looks at. A backyard tool shed, the garage rafters, the trunk of your car that they never drive. Chances are, if they do see multiple bikes around the house, they're likely not going to think twice about seeing the same colored bike in multiple inconspicuous places. It's just going to fade into the background, which is why it's super important to choose the same color bike every time. Step 6. Changing gears. In the unfortunate but unlikely event that your spouse starts to suspect that you may have bought a new bike, whether by looking at the family finances or through the spousal sixth sense that you've been way too happy for no good reason, and God forbid they start to ask you questions, you may have to take a deep breath, take the leap of faith, and switch from committing lies of omission to lies of commission. If you're new to this, it can be a real rain on your ride and make you feel guilty about lying straight to your spouse's face. But chances are, if you've been married for anything over 6 months, you're already a well-seasoned veteran at lying straight to your spouse's face while still convincing yourself that you're a good person, so you'll be fine. The specific type of lie of commission here that we'll be using to preserve your relationship with your lovely spouse is deception. And deception is the quintessential lie. It's something that is just blatantly false that you tell them in order to get them to believe in it. So when your spouse asks you about your suspiciously low bank statements, remember this line. Honey, about that missing $8,000 from the account, I spent it on escorts. And emboldened by your apparent brazen honesty, that should be the end of the financial interrogation. And you'll be free to enjoy riding and, most importantly, buying bikes to your heart's content. Step 7. Knowing when to let go. If you're proficient at this program, you may get to the point where you want to buy more bikes, but you realistically cannot hide any more bikes in your home. You could keep them at friends' places in a secret storage unit, or keep them at your workplace if they're nice enough. But you may come to the point where you realize that this isn't sustainable, that you have to let go and downsize. If this happens, you really have to sit down with your spouse and have a real heart-to-heart talk. You'll have to tell them, honey, I don't want to keep hiding who I am. I don't want to keep going to couples counseling for spending tens of thousands of dollars on escorts. I don't want to hurt you anymore. I need to come clean, but I'm going to need your help. I need you to help me to be authentic to me, to us, so that we can both get the most out of life. Honey, I love you. And I need you to sign these divorce papers. Now, letting go is always hard, but you need to remember that it's for the best. You only have one life, after all, so you better make the most of it, and life is just too short to ride 6 purple bikes. Whether it's your relationship with your spouse, or your powerful thighs, pain always precedes growth. You will cry. You will feel lost and lonely and helpless and confused without your better half. But at the end of the day, you need to remember that this is for the best, that this is what you truly want, and you can ride off gallantly into the sunset. Because life is short, but don't make it shorter. So be sure to ride your bikes, all of them, in whatever color you want, every day to be reasonably dangerous. Happy April Fools, everybody. And Fixie famous shoutouts to Brandon Black, David K, Gio Dezera, Julian Corona, Ryan Witt, Scott Palangi, and Zane Kolnik for helping to make these videos possible through the support on Patreon. And just to be clear, like, maybe, like, it kind of is good advice if you want to hide bikes, but, like, maybe don't hide bikes from your spouse, because if you do, you kind of got, like, deeper problems than just bikes. Just saying.